Good evening, all. Joe Bida, Superintendent of Norton Public Schools. Also, a number of our central office administrators here today. Jen O'Neill, our Assistant Superintendent. Karen Winsper, our Director of Instructional Technology. Matt Wells, our School Business Administrator. Vinnie Searcy, our Director of PPS and Counseling. Cassandra Russo, our Coordinator of Special Education. And Wade Lizotte, our Director of Facilities. And I think I have everybody else. And thank you to Kristen, our ASL interpreter. And of course to Ms. Zielinski for doing our caption. Tonight's meeting is informational more than anything else. The opportunity to speak to the school committee will be available to you on the 26th of August at 6 p.m. Information will be coming out on that, and that will be a direct access to open meeting to request to speak on pro-mask, anti-mask, so on and so forth. And then the school committee will take considerations and will vote on Monday the 30th. Two-part process. The reason for that is to allow for them to hear from the public as much as possible in a open meeting, and then to make their final decisions prior to the start of school. The intentions for me tonight is to provide you some general information of what we have. We currently, under policy and finance, that belongs to the school committee. The school committee makes the final determination on any policy, either through a recommendation from the superintendent on their own. At this time, right now, the school committee, unless they ask for one from me, they are working off of their current policy, which states that until they eliminate the current masking policy that's still in play, and have either a different recommendation or make a change, either aligned to DESE and DPH or CDC or another option. That'll all happen over the course of those two meetings. Let me just bring you up to date on cases as we have them as of the 12th of August, so a few days back. In terms of our situation, we have 29 cases as of the 12th in town, with a 4.02 positivity rate for the community. In terms of vaccinations, as of the 12th also of this month, for those ages are available to be vaccinated, we have 19,910 registered folks in town. 12,228, or 61% of those, have taken one dose. 11,016 are fully vaccinated, or 55%. In both cases, those numbers are below the state average. When you look at students in ages 12 to 15 and 16 to 19 that can be vaccinated, the population of 12 to 15-year-olds in Norton is 847. Please know that that's all students. They could be homeschooled, they could be at Southeastern, they could be at Fian, they could be at Severian. It's all just total numbers, so it doesn't equate directly to Norton Public Schools. Of the ages 12 to 15, there are 847 school age 12 to 15-year-olds. 479 as of August 12th have taken the first dose, or 57%, and 382 are fully vaccinated, or 45%. Again, as of August 12th. For the 16 to 19-year-olds, the population is 1,285, of which 697 have taken the first dose, or 54%. And of 617 are fully vaccinated, 48%. Those two numbers for both 12 to 15 and 16 to 19 are also the lowest in the region. I wanted to go through a couple of situations that are important to the folks that are already asking the question in terms of, will students be able to mask or not? I just want to reiterate that is a school committee decision that will take place in discussions on the 28th and the vote on the 30th. In terms of our COVID protocols, and that will be determined finally as it pertains to the school committee decision on masking. Once they've made that decision, then the protocols will be put into place. However, I just wanted to give you some general sense that our cleaning protocols will be maintained. Transportation and the nurse's office are federally guided that you must wear a mask while on the bus, and you must wear a mask when in the nurse's office unless medically documented. That is not a local decision, that comes from the federal government. As it pertains to our school schedules, we are currently scheduled to open on the 7th of September for students in 1 through 12, and I believe it's the 8th for our kindergarten students. And the general view right now is that we're ready to go. The big question is everything to do with this masking situation. We have completed all of our hiring except for one situation at Norton High School. We're generally in a good place. When we look at the COVID protocol, let me just go down a couple more things that are important to that. When we look at air exchange rates, those have been completed and they are meet or exceed standards. Our HVAC units have all been serviced at meet or exceed standards, and our air quality testing will take place this coming week, and we'll have that prior to our opening of school. And again, we think we're going to meet without a problem all of those air quality situations as well. So that gives you the physical building, that gives you the transportation, our cleaning protocols, which will continue. We're making no changes to those regardless of mask or no mask decisions, or as it pertains to the school committee decision. I do need to, I think, go through some of the COVID protocols that are currently in place as it pertains to masking as a recommendation. The current recommendation from DESE and DPH, DESE is the Department of Elementary Secondary Education, and DPH is the Department of Public Health, is strongly recommend that all students in kindergarten through grade 6 wear masks when indoors, except students who cannot do so due to medical conditions or behavioral needs. And also strongly recommend that unvaccinated staff in all grades, unvaccinated students in grade 7 and above, and unvaccinated visitors wear masks when indoors. DESE and DPH also recommend that schools allow vaccinated students to remain unmasked. Any individual at high risk for severe disease from COVID or with a household member who is at high risk is encouraged to mask regardless of vaccination status. Any child or family who prefers to mask at school should be supported in this choice. By federal public health order, all students and staff are required to wear masks on school buses at all times. All staff and students must wear masks when in school health offices. Additional guidelines from DPH will be forthcoming on that. So that's the DESE DPH protocols. As you know, the CDC's protocols recommends that anyone and everyone in school, regardless of vaccination, except when medically documented, wear a mask when indoors. So those are the two different options, if you will. The committee could also choose to go in a different route if they so choose. In terms of some of the big assumptions that we have to discuss when looking at the protocols. Please know that these protocols are recommended by, are the protocols that are used through the medical professionals. These are not my opinion in any way, but just want to go through a couple of them. And again, we'll have the communications office send this to you so that you have it via email to all of our families. A person who tests positive, in this case a student, a staff member within school, is a minimum isolation of 10 days after the onset of the symptom. Asymptomatic close contact is where things get a little tricky. Currently, they can remain in school if they're asymptomatic. They have been wearing a mask. They take the antigen test, which we will be supporting to provide, and they're active monitoring. That's a big change from prior protocol, because the suggestion here is that they can remain in school if asymptomatic close contact. And again, these scenarios are updates. Traditional protocols can also be used, where quarantining for 7 days and then taking a test after day 5 and can return to school on day 8 if no symptoms. And also the alternative is you don't take a test at all and you can stay away from school or work in this case for 10 days and return on day 11 if you choose not to test. We're looking at vaccinated or non-vaccinated and symptomatic negative tests, or a medical recommendation of an alternative diagnosis. In other words, the doctors have clearly noted that this is not COVID, this is the flu, the runny nose, some type of other situation. And you have improved symptoms, of course, you can return to school. Be mindful that the symptomatic areas that are really key for us in schools continues to always be everything to do with the 24-hour free from a temperature. That continues to be a key component. If you're not a close contact, then you have the isolation for 10 days and you can return in that scenario as well. So we'll chart this all out for you so that you can see the positives and the negatives. Probably the biggest positive is that if you're asymptomatic but you're a close contact, you're no longer forced to go home if you've been wearing a mask. So this is where the mask policy process could be a game changer in the eyes of some. If not, then you're looking at anywhere from a minimum of 5 days of not in school, 8 days not in school, to as many as 10 to 11 days. And I think that's a little bit of a curveball for families and schedules. The other two pieces of information that are important is that we have asked to be a vaccination site to provide vaccines to children, specifically now 12 plus. I'm not sure that that's going to help, but the fact is, because you can walk in right now to CVS and get your vaccine if you're 12 plus and medically can do so. And we also will be a testing site for not only our staff, but also for our students, so that we can have folks tested and have responses provided. I also would like to announce tonight, because I think it's important, somebody will blame me for something on this, but be mindful that there is no remote learning. There is no streaming. Days out and closures means make up snow day like days. So if we have to close a building, those days have to be made up prior to June 30th. So I'm simply announcing to my staff, as I did the other day, and to families, that things like February vacation and April vacation could be in play. Hopefully they're not going to be, but they could be in place simply to make up days, especially if we have a lot of days prior to the snow season actually happening. The other part that I think is important is that the state is forcing us, if you will, to go back to the 180 days of school. So right now, the option of having like a two-tiered day, like would happen when sometimes you have a fire in the school and you're able to create that, those are not in play as well. I think some of this is subject to change, if you want me to be honest. But the fact of the matter is that any of these scenarios could take place throughout the year, depending on what the numbers are. You probably have heard that both the state of Connecticut and Rhode Island yesterday and today have announced full masking in schools. The governor of Massachusetts has made that a local decision. And that's been kind of a routine since the beginning of this, that, you know, one school system is doing one thing, one is doing another. And then lastly, some school districts, so that you know, in our area, I know of one, I won't use the name because they haven't voted on it yet, but they are looking at things like the number of students in a high school vaccinated. And once you get to a certain percentage, i.e. 80%, 90%, then suggesting that if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. Other school systems locally, as you know, Attleboro voted, or you may know, pre-K to 6 fully masked, 7 to 12 optional. The other superintendents in the area that I've been speaking to are consistently looking at masking as a precaution and then backing away from it. Some of the school districts, one school district slightly away from us voted yesterday 6-4 to go with the DESE recommendation, but not requirement. Some school systems have voted, or school committees have already voted throughout the state to have masks only, and some school systems, at least one, is moving forward with no masks at all. It's a choice by choice decision. We currently, I do not, to a question that was asked of how many of them, of the 29 are children. I do not have that breakdown on the 29. I will tell you that 2 weeks ago, the number of cases were 15 in Norton, and 5 of those were school-aged children, 3, 5, 8, 10, and 12, as was provided to me. Folks don't like to provide me a lot of that information in terms of the age breakdown. It's my understanding that the Commonwealth will be collecting that data again, like it did before. It stopped collecting that in June, but it's my understanding from the governor's office that that's going to be in play. But I don't have the specific information. If somebody does have to isolate, will there be remote? Again, the answer to that is no. There is no remote option on the table as it pertains to educating students. question, and feel free to keep asking your questions. What happens to students who have to be out for 5+ days in regards to learning? It would be just like they were home with the flu. They would be coming back and making up their work. Again, there is no remote option provided at this time by the Commonwealth as part of, quote, making up a day. We currently, again, don't have any information on how many kids are positive of the 29. I've not been provided that information. And in terms of how many were tested, again, that's a question that could be asked of the Board of Health that has not been shared with me. The vaccination rates for the school staff, we know through surveys that have been provided by some of the union personnel that are ranges as high as 94%. And with some other unions, it may actually be below 50%. And again, remember that each of these folks, each of these unions collect their own data if they so choose. We haven't made that question out. The spacing requirement for busing currently is get on the bus, keep your mask on, windows halfway down, if you will, get off the bus. There's no other specific regulation. And I think that's a great lead to the following. The current real true discussion is on masking. Almost everything else is off the table. One-way hallways, gone. Not being able to sit together at lunch, gone. Not being able to, the recess situation and wellness kind of changed in the summertime or in May, June anyways, but that continues. So really, besides continuing to clean, wash your hands, use sanitizer, the big one on the table is the masking. Almost everything else from the rules that we're getting from everybody is try to maintain 3 feet, but there isn't a discussion about 6 feet. And then the other part of it is that by doing the masking, some would suggest, and that allows for us to not have to worry about certain situations such as contact tracing. If you're not wearing a mask, then full contact tracing is on, meaning 10 days, or actually 8 days, or 10 or 11 days options, or being out the complete all of those days. The meetings right now on the 26th and the 30th, I'll have to get back to some of you asking if it's in person. It's my understanding that it's going to be a Zoom in order to allow for more people to participate, but I'll defer that to the chairman of the school committee who can make that decision on behalf of the committee by the end of this weekend.
Joe, would you like me to kind of go through the questions and so you don't have to do both at the same time?
Sure.
All right.
By the way, this is being recorded and will be made available to all who wish to do it.
Great. Do we know where the testing site is going to be as a district?
Yeah, so the testing site right now will be based on school by school for testing, because that's what this recommendation from the state is. So you don't have to go anywhere. It's the state would come to the school. So if we have a situation in the school, the testing would take place at that school, versus vaccination sites, which could also be by school, but we could start with just like one general one that would take place.
Yeah. If parents wanted to withdraw their children and homeschool, what would be the process and are materials available?
Yeah, so the process is through Jennifer O'Neill's office.
Yeah.
This is the superintendent, and basically you write her a letter saying you're withdrawing as a student and what curriculum you'll be utilizing with your child, and she goes through it, and it's almost a guarantee 100% approval process.
So we do have an application process where we need specific information from families in terms of their schedule, the subjects they'll be teaching, the curriculum that they're going to be using, and the time on learning, who the teacher is going to be. The district does not provide the curriculum. The parents would need to provide the curriculum for a homeschool situation. What about children who are medically compromised?
Yeah, so in terms of not coming to school at all, that would be a process that you can file with us. And then we have to utilize medical documentation that you would be providing us according to the state, and then work through that process on the education model for your child. That's different from a situation where, for example, you could be home for 5 days, where remote is, again, not currently an option. Mm-hmm. I would ask you to call the Department of Elementary Secondary Education and have them answer that question for you.
If people could put their questions in the Q&A, it actually is really beneficial because we can note that we've answered them. It's really difficult to keep track of them in the chat. The next question is, does our vaccine data come from the state, or is that something that parents and students have provided to us?
It actually comes to the state, to our school nurses, anybody within the community. So our school nurses will have access to that type of information.
A couple questions here about at-home learning or using Edgenuity. That is unfortunately not an option for this year. Let's see. Is the school board aware regarding data that talks about the negative impacts of masks?
Anybody can provide the school committee any data that they wish.
Yes, and that it is a school committee decision. Questions about regarding student drop-off. I think we probably
we're going to have more flexibility with drop-off than we had in the last year. It's just a matter now, again, what are the masking protocols? Once we get that, then to be quite honest, I see drop-offs being a lot more flexible than they were in the past.
Question regarding if students wanted to wear masks, regardless of the school committee decision, a student is welcome to wear a mask if they or their family so chooses.
The answer to that is that both children and staff, including the superintendent, regardless of the decision of the school committee, will be wearing a mask.
Okay. Will we have traditional open houses this year to start the year?
Currently, the answer to that is no. We are looking at options. The concern that we have is bringing hundreds upon hundreds and even thousands of people into a school building, and a concern for people deciding that they can or can't wear a mask. And I'm just not open to putting that situation out there right now. So more to come on that topic.
So that's DESE, you say that DESE recommends masks indoors and outdoors indoors for unvaccinated. If we implement a mask rule, will students be turned away since DESE recommends? I'm not sure, Heather, if you want to, are you saying if they don't wear a mask, will we turn them away? If you could clarify.
If you have, so it's very clear, the courts have ruled on this. If you have a policy that states X, then that's the policy. The policy is then implemented. Wearing masks has not been ruled as a parent right issue. Parents have two rights: the right to sex education and pulling their kids out, and homeschooling. The courts have not ruled that this is an issue of parental rights, and it has not come down that way. So if you have a policy, then that policy needs to be implemented like any other policy that you would have. Here's what I can assure you of. I'm not about to put kids in the middle of what I will just simply say today, a political back and forth between parents and the school system. What I would do is I would call on the parents and myself to meet and try to resolve the issue. And then if not, then go through a different process. Kids shouldn't be used as pawns, in my opinion, by anybody as it relates to this issue. And that's a commitment that I have because I've seen too much of it already. But at the end of the day, I still have to do one thing. I have to run the school system on behalf of 2,400 students and 400 adults. My number one priority has been, since this entire thing started and prior, I'm now in my 13th year as a school superintendent, and prior to that, there's nothing that stands more powerful in my day-to-day work than the safety of the children and the staff of this district and in the districts that I've worked in the past. I have a very clear reputation that I don't play any type of games when it comes to this. As a parent of a child attending Norton Public Schools, I can make my own decision if I want. But as a superintendent, I am making a decision on behalf of almost 3,000 humans. And I'm going to stand by that. I'm going to support your children as much as I can. I'm going to try to support you with whatever view and perspective you have. But I have to make a decision that's based on almost 3,000 people, not just my own kid or your own kid.
Will lockers be provided to students this year?
The answer to that is yes, we are looking at lockers being provided. I know at the middle school that's a big issue, and right now the answer would be yes, again, I think we have to consider what the mask policy is going to be on that.
There's a question here regarding what the state suggests we do if students have to quarantine or we have to close down because remote is not an option. It's a great question, right, Joe?
I'm sorry, I just froze on my end. So what was the question?
The question is, what is the Department of Education, the state suggesting that we do if remote learning is not an option and students have to be out of school?
Yeah, that's a great question. Right now, they're treating it as if it were your child went in for an appendix procedure or broke their foot and so on and so forth. They have not given us the resources or the guidelines in any other way. And again, feel free to call Desi. My phone calls aren't getting returned anymore.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to know that it's the Department of Education that is requiring full-time in-person 5 days a week for all students. It's not that Norton is not willing to offer a remote option. We just are not able to at this time. So
I think as the data,
challenge.
and I think if I could, I think as the data potentially changes negatively, that we could see changes in it. But right now, the regulation coming from the state is, and based on research and studies, that being in school is important. There might be certain rules that people don't like and all of that, but being in school is much more important. So that's where we're at.
Thanks. A comment here that people like the Zoom meetings. It's really convenient for parents. We agree. We always have a lot of attendance when we do things like this. We love it too. Is the school committee actually going by vote? Can they separate students based on who votes on a mask compared to who does not want to mask their children?
So the school committee can basically take any vote it wants. It can agree with any recommendation that's made, or it can make its own recommendation. If you pass a policy that says you have to wear a mask, then that policy is the policy that's in play, and the only thing that takes you out of that would be a medical situation. If it's the reverse, then you could, as a parent, you can say, well, I still want my child to wear a mask. You would have that option. So, and that's from the state. That's very. I read that earlier. That's where the state stands on that as well.
All righty. Will there be weekly pool testing?
No, we will not be doing pool testing. We will be doing on-site testing for scenarios and cases that take place within our schools. I will tell you, so that you know, Matt Wells actually filed the application for us on that issue. We've been waiting for 2.5 weeks on a vaccination site, and it's been crickets for 2.5 weeks. So I don't know how the state is going to service 350 districts with testing. I just don't know how it's going to happen. So I am working with a third party that actually has been a mobile site for the state. And I have a commitment from them that if we can't get the state, that we would get a commitment from them for both testing and for vaccinations.
Are we going to be discussing social distancing in the classrooms, such as 3 to 6 feet?
Right. So the recommendation right now is to stay at 3 feet as much as possible, but it's again with the kind of question mark that says, or the little asterisk that says, when possible, because the idea is to stay in school. In our case, 3 feet is not a problem. It won't be perfect, but we're not looking at anything above that. But there are classrooms where it could be significantly more than 3 feet.
Okay. There's a question here about just confirming masks are required. At this time, there is no decision. The school committee will vote that on their own. Their question about, is there a medical exemption? Will they be segregated because of their medical exemption? No.
Medical exemption is exactly that. It's a medical note that says that child may not wear a mask. We already have those, by the way. We have those situations with staff as well. That goes back to pre-vaccination days. So no, we don't segregate anyone just because of that. Now, there could be situations where we have to have alternative ways to do something just because there's too many people in one room and there's a concern, but that would be something that would be worked out between the parent, if it's a younger child, between the parent and the school.
Yep. Several questions here about the school committee meeting itself, and will people be able to see it live? Yes. Regardless if it's,
It's,
on Zoom, it will
it's
be streamed live just like this.
right, and it's my understanding, and Jen, we can get this out as information to folks. It's my understanding that the committee will set up the meeting in a way where we have public comment, where you will go on like I am with you right now and be provided probably up to 3 minutes to make your comments or your suggestions, and then it goes to the next person and so on and so forth. They may alternate between pro and con, or they may just say, okay, anybody wants to speak on not wanting masking anywhere at any time or not for this age or that, please speak now, and then the next group speaks afterwards. And then on the Monday, they would open the meeting for the purposes of the second reading of the policy and actually vote on their decision.
All right. Questions regarding volunteers in school, will they be allowed this year?
Well, again, that decision is grounded on the masking decision.
Let's see. There's a question regarding freshman orientation. I believe that information will come directly from the high school. What can we do to help staff and children be safe and healthy? Can we assist with donations of masks or hand sanitizer for the classroom?
At this time, I first of all, thank you to the person that's making that gracious suggestion. At this time, we're in great shape when it comes to PPE and masks and all of that. Doesn't mean that down the road we won't need it, but I can assure you, Wade Lazat's on. Wade, I don't know if you want to comment about the thousands upon thousands of PPE and masks and stuff that we have.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to get a pretty good size order through the state. So each school is stocked up. We have plenty of hand sanitizer, plenty of masks, plenty of PPE for our staff and all students. So we're good till at least December.
And then added to that is we've also increased our number of air. What are they called? The units there. The
Air purifiers.
Air purifiers. We've increased our number for classrooms as needed based upon issues that are taking place, especially if we know we have somebody who's compromised, either the adult or the student.
I think it's also important for people to know that we're doing the best we can to answer these questions. There are questions here that regarding research that, we simply are not able to answer. We can do our best to answer questions regarding school itself. Does the Norton's Teacher Association have position and or recommendation regarding masking?
The Norton union, regardless of who they are, have the right to attend a meeting and make their position to the school committee known. And they also have the right, based on that decision, to impact bargain.
Sorry, I'm just trying to weed through some of the questions regarding the things that we can answer. Yes, this will be available to rewatch. We're recording it right now. Will flexible seating be reintroduced to classrooms for younger grades? Yes, we're trying to reintroduce flexible seating, depending on the structure in the classroom.
I think it's, again, I'm going to reiterate and sound like a broken record. Returning to as much normalcy is what we're trying to attempt to do. Then it's grounded on the mask debate. That's the one thing that's left over. Recess, not a problem to not wear a mask. Going to lunch, although there's a lot of questions there still, where it's being suggested, as long as kids aren't yelling and screaming at each other, that it should be fine. We're not seeing positivity rates throughout the state because people are sitting across from each other during dinner. We're seeing it because of other social events.
Will students at the middle school be changing classes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Again, a return to as much of the school normalcy with the question mark on masks. That is the key here on behalf of the entire team that's working on this.
When can we expect teacher assignments? I know that the elementary schools are mailing them out on the 23rd. That's an easy question to answer. Let's see. Is it possible that there might be Zoom open houses since in person it may not be possible?
Yes.
Yes, we
The
are
answer
looking
to
at
that is
all
yes. I know that Vinny Hayward at the middle school sent something out about a 9/1 date. Again, I've asked him that that could be clarified based on the decision by the school committee on the 30th, and only because of the following situation. I'm concerned about just jam-packing our buildings with a lot of people. At the same time, offering something is a better start. But just bear with us. We are trying to have some normalcy there as well.
Distancing rules in the cafeteria. Are there distancing rules in the cafeteria?
Well, right now it states 3 feet is the recommendation, but again, it's all about what's happening as part of the mask rules throughout the school. They're saying that going to lunch, it's only 25 minutes to half an hour, in some cases even less than that by the time the kids actually sit down. Kids aren't sitting at a desk by themselves. I know there was a comment about that or a question. We're again trying to return to some type of normalcy based upon the science, the data, the information that we have as we start the school year.
And this, questions here regarding mask breaks. If students were required to wear masks, they would
Yes.
absolutely be getting mask breaks. Are all sports coming back this year? Yes, we hope. We hope that we're returning to normal in most ways, including middle school sports,
Clubs and activities.
clubs and activities. Will we have a meet and greet for the new JCS principal? Yes, I'm sure he's thinking about it, whether that's virtually or what that might look like. Sorry, just trying to.
As you're looking at the next question, just to let you know that our health team, which consists of our 6 nurses, myself and Vinny Searcy, along with our pediatric medical doctor for the district, all will have recommendations or their own thoughts, if you will. The unions can comment on behalf of their membership. Parents can comment. A community member can comment. And then the school committee, makes its decision on what the policy should be.
Is the use of plexiglass an option instead of masks?
Problematic simply because of the amount that we would need and the amount that's actually available, and also with students constantly moving, that would be a problem. However, we do utilize it in areas such as support services.
Okay. Kindergarten, there's a question about kindergarten orientation. Kindergarten students always come in a day after the rest of our students in grades 1 through 12. And that day in between is designed for them to come and meet their teacher and visit their classroom. So information about that will be coming out soon. The question, Cindy, I know you're want us to answer your question about why remote learning is not allowable. It's not considered a approved method by the Department of Education this year. So we are not able to offer it as a district. There are virtual learning schools in Massachusetts that have been approved by the Department of Education. Unfortunately, that is not true of every district. I believe there are 2 district-wide, statewide, that are available for students that want to be fully remote. If students are vaccinated, are they required to quarantine?
Again, that's going to depend on the scenario of it's based on wearing masks is where the situation is right now.
Would face shields be allowed?
Face shields have always been allowed. And we've utilized the medical concept of, you have an issue with wearing a mask because of a child with a behavioral issue around a mask or a child with a breathing issue. And we've had students that are using the shields, and staff as well.
Will we require to know if a student is vaccinated or not?
Say again?
Will we be asking families to prove that their child is vaccinated or not?
It's not a matter of proof, it's a matter of the situation. So the situation would be, if you've been vaccinated and you're wearing a mask and all that and you show no symptoms, then it's an easier check off, if you will. So, right now the regulations are noting that we can ask employees. It's a little bit up in the air still about asking students without, we would always ask under 18 through parents. But we would have to come up with some very private way of doing that, if you will.
Can we please elaborate more on how a student will make up work if quarantined from school? Would they be making up schoolwork or would they be making up the days?
They'd be making up the schoolwork that they missed while they were out, as if any other medical situation that would happen to an individual.
Yep. I think the only time where you would have to make up days if it was more widespread, for example, a classroom or a team.
Right. So one of the things that we're attempting to do, that's not remote schooling, it's not online learning, but one of the things that I am attempting to do via money that we put into our budget is to increase the opportunity for tutoring of students via online or directly after school, where there would be no payment from parents. It would be free to parents, and we would be targeting these types of situations so that students don't fall behind. So we've posted for that. It's actually going to be an online module where you can go in and you can say, my Johnny needs help with his math. And we check if it's going to be in person or if it's going to be online. Most of it's going to be online, simply via like a Zoom like this, because it gives more flexibility. If the student's in activities or CCD or sports, or they could do it at like 6 o'clock at night instead of right after school, or vice versa. We are also running our middle school, high school late bus again. That's back in play, budgeted for, and hopefully that will help with kids who need assistance after school. And I know that we've had some discussions about some homework clubs in the buildings after school. The only concern there is getting the younger kids home, because we can't just do we can't do house-to-house delivery of students in that case. And it concerns me to drop off a 7, 8, 9-year-old, half a mile away from his house or at night.
What will the schools do to assess the student academic losses at the start of the year? This is a great question, Adam. Thank you so much. We're having a lot of conversations about how we're going to assess student loss. We've done some great summer programs. We have another one starting next week. We have baseline data and student assessments that we'll use to take a look at where our students are and make sure that we are supporting students with that just-in-time supports to help them be successful in the current grade level as well. But we will be doing that. We have a lot, as Dr. Bayetta just mentioned, the tutoring program as well. What's the process for adding traffic signage near the JCS? There were some close calls last year with people using it as a cut through. Oh, Joe, you're muted. Still muted.
Wade, would you like to comment on that one?
So yes, it is used as a cut through a lot. It's school property, but a lot of locals use that. So we've been cautious on putting signs up there, but it's certainly something we can look at. We are having the whole parking lot of JCS engineered right now to see if we can come up with a better flow for drop off and pick up, as well as traffic cutting through that area. I would just right now just ask everybody to please drive cautiously and slow down just a little bit cutting through there.
Great.
Again, I think this is one of those, if everybody did their part, I think we wouldn't be discussing this, but it is an important question. I have had some discussions with PD about supporting us, even if, details and all of that stuff, but it's not that difficult of a one to address as if we all played our small little part.
What about band and music and chorus and all those essential specials and subjects, Joe?
Currently, a return to school with everything in play, deciding the mask situation, music, and specifically has been said that, utilizing the appropriate covers on the horns and all that will still be in play. And keeping to, I think it's 50-minute classes, which most of ours are around there, of music playing at 6 feet or more would be required. But in general, it's, I continue to just simply beat the dead horse here. We're trying to return to as much of a normalcy as possible. I'm really proud of what Norton Public Schools has done in the past. It wasn't perfect. There were plenty of different opinions. But as we were opening up more and more, our numbers were only getting better and better. And I think it's because of the safety protocols and procedures that we utilize. So that's our goal again.
Great. Who is in charge of deciding whether the school committee meeting will be held in person? Is it the town manager or the school committee chair?
Under the regulations of the state, it is up to the school committee as an elected body to decide if they want to do it Zoom, live, combination of both.
Will the vaccination site be open to anyone or only Norton students?
It would be to any children who reside in the town of Norton. So if you were going to another school, we would be happy to support you.
Will testing be done only with parental consent?
That is correct. Parental consent is required in any type of medical testing that you would be doing.
Yep. There's a comment here about our fantastic guidance staff and how supportive they are for students when they need emotional support. Thank you so much, Amy. We appreciate that. Will we still have the big tents outdoor if there's inclement weather for the breaks?
We currently have requested tents at both Norton High School and the JCS. We didn't really have good tent use at the LG, and the middle school didn't have any tents or the Yell at all.
Will we be posting the daily COVID data on our website like we did last year?
The answer to that is yes.
The question says, you keep saying everything is going back to normal as possible depending on the mask policy. If we decide that the school committee votes for no masks, what would the possible changes be as a district?
The first one would be instruction. I think the staff would have the flexibility to keep their classrooms in rows if they so choose, because they're working with children that are not vaccinated at all, or we don't know if they are with the older students. And that's one of my biggest concerns, is that one of the things that I've learned from the students and talking to students in the last 16 plus months is that we all hate masks. That's a check that everybody can check. There's nobody who wants to wake up every day for the rest of their lives and put on a mask to go to work, unless you're a high paid nurse or medical doctor, and then that's a good thing, because that's part of your job. But in terms of going to school and teaching and learning, it's about the socialization. Kids want to be next to each other, play with each other, be with each other, work in groups together, learn together, exchange ideas together, and not just the rote stand and deliver that maybe some of us who are over 50 years old, like I am, remember from some of our schooling. Our teachers are some of the best around for a number of reasons. Number one, they care about your children more so than any group of people I've ever worked with. That's number one. Number two, they're highly educated, highly motivated, and they know what they're doing. Number three, in order for them to do that in the safest possible way, masks give an opportunity for kids not to be out for long periods of time, for people not to be out. It's not 100% proof, but it provides that. So the negative of some of that is that we want students to be in a circle with their teacher in a station, and utilizing that. Now, I know that there's views and perspectives that wearing a mask with literacy and so on and so forth. Listen, I agree with all of that, but we're in a situation of A, wanting to support families by not having your children go home, B, to figure out where your children are, our students are, in terms of learning loss and issues. I will tell you that there's some really good research that really shows that math is an area of concern much more than literacy. But that doesn't mean that literacy isn't a problem with certain populations of students. Our commitment is to look at each student individually and really take a look. We just put into place a number of interventionist positions for this year with federal money and all of that, in order to target students during the school day with supports from a reading specialist, from a numeracy specialist, so that we can target and see how they can improve. And as many of you know, especially those of you that are educators in the call, those small group one-to-ones can be very effective. They can work, and they can work quickly and get kids right back into, if you will, their actual grade range pretty quickly.
There's a question regarding one of our read students about, reading lips, and would their teachers be able to wear face shields? I believe we did that last year as well. How do masks? So go
I
ahead.
just interject on that. Don't forget,
Yeah, of
we've
course.
also utilized masks that actually still show your face. Our entire reads population of students, but we've also had general classroom teachers that wanted to do that so that you could see expression. Those will continue to be available to our staff. I can't tell you how many of those we still have as well. And that's a nice alternative, if you will, because it's still got the protection, but you can still see people's expressions on their face as well.
Can I please have the information of who to contact for homebound medically compromised students?
You can contact Mr. Vincent Searcy at vcerce@norton.k12.ma.us, and he will at least get you to start the process on the next steps.
Is there still a substitute shortage? Yes.
If you want to work, you can call me directly. I'll give you my number right now. We have put permanent building substitutes in every building this year for the first day of school. We're hoping that works, but we're available for more subs if you're interested.
Absolutely. We were remote last year. Can you describe how mask breaks work if they're needed?
A lot of the mask breaks happen in a number of different ways. Everything from going outside to just walking the hallway. Again, I think a lot of this is going to depend on, in some cases, sometimes half of a classroom would leave with the teacher. It happens literally right in the, it can happen now really in the classroom, if you will, as long as folks are staying away from each other and it's done in kind of a small break. There's a lot more flexibility with that than we've had in the past.
Then another question is, if we're back at 180 days, can we all have different last days? I don't know that we would do that.
Say that again?
Say that again. All back at 180 days, could we all have different last days? Well, yeah, I guess it is possible. If we have an issue where one school has to close and they have to make up that time, they could potentially have a different last day than another building. I think that's how you mean it, Madison. I hope I'm understanding that question correctly. And then, have we installed any air conditioning in any of the buildings over the summer?
As needed in some situations, but again, some of our older buildings, connecting electricity is a significant issue.
So, we had a lot of other questions or comments in the Q&A that I think are really difficult for us to answer.
Yeah, it seems like the chat is going back and forth pretty good between some folks. So I'll leave it at that. I think there's nothing more important than good debate and discussion, as long as we're civil. And so far, it seems like it's going okay based on what I've seen. But I think that's important. Any others that are out there? So as Jen is looking to see if there's anything that's outstanding, don't forget this is being recorded, and feel free to ask questions after you watch it if you have further questions. We didn't clarify something for you. Let me leave you with just a few thoughts on maybe where my mindset is and what we're trying to do. And I think it's really important that you know that I'm trying to attempt through the support of my team and the school committee and everybody else to make this as much of a normal school year as possible, to get back to learning in a way that is important, that's not hybrid and 15 minutes here and half an hour there, and every other day and, you know, worrying about our children being home by themselves, even if they were 12 and 14 and 15 years of age and all of that. We're also trying to bring back the normalcy of you folks as you've returned to work, and maybe you have a new normal of work, but for some of you that I know for a fact working at home, both of you, and your child is at home, you know, the new normal for us is let's get those children back to school as much as possible. And it's not going to be perfect, but I think it's going to be better in many ways. In July of this year, there were 255 cases of birth to 19 years of age in the Commonwealth. As of August 11th, there were 2,913 cases. That's a tenfold increase in exactly 1 month and 3 days. That's data. We can debate and discuss a lot of information, but that's the data in Massachusetts, and that's as of the 11th of this month. According to the American Academy of Pediatricians and the Children's Hospital Association, there's been 8 children in Massachusetts that have died. Again, these situations are not any different than a lot of the situations that we know about with people that have other health issues and so on and so forth. But those are data pieces for us to take a look at. I also think that it's important for you folks to do what a lot of other communities haven't done. Keep it civil. Have your debates, have your discussions. I can't think of anybody who wants to get up every day and have to wear a mask to go to work or school, or be worried about going to school in one way or another, or work in one way or another. But the civility piece, so far with me, has been outstanding, and I thank you. You can disagree with me. That's okay. I work for you. I try to make the best decisions that we can. But I think it's really, really important for us to be civil about it. Your 5 school committee members all care about the kids and the staff of this district. I can assure you of that. I speak to them regularly, and they are torn about how to settle the situation, because they're being asked to do something that could easily be done for them, in my opinion. And maybe I'm wrong in that opinion. But if you take a look at what's happening, and if we want to return, we want to be able to do so in a way that is as safe as possible, so that we can stick to some type of the new normal. It won't be perfect, but it'll be a new normal. So August 26th, 6 p.m., information will be coming out, and I'll make sure that you get an email as well. So it's almost like a personal invitation. And then the 30th, the vote, and the committee will probably utilize that process. And we'll try to also address the issue of are they going to be in person or just Zoom or both.
And there's a few other questions here. This question about critical race theory, which has nothing to do with masks and is not taught in Norton schools. There's questions here regarding testing in place. And there's questions here regarding if a student is medically exempt, are they able to do a hybrid model?
Again, that could be a scenario for a medically exempt situation, but we would have to go through a process to have that completed.
Yep. I would say that's about it.
Again, any questions that you have on here, we'll continue to try to address them. If you have a question that's very specific, please feel free to use the Let's Talk. If you leave it anonymous, I can't return it to you. I don't hold grudges. In this job, it doesn't pay me well to hold grudges because it just gives me more of a headache. So tell me what you think. Ask a question that you didn't want to ask tonight because you just don't want to be connected to that question or you're concerned. I will keep it private to the best that I can in terms of I am a public official, so anything that I get can be considered a Freedom of Information Act request. If it's specific about your child, then it is actually covered by whatever the word I'm looking for, because if you can't tell, I'm tired. In terms of privacy, thank you. And we'll do that in terms of getting you an answer. So again, feel free to do so, and we'll get the answers. Feel free to talk to staff. They have pretty much some of the same information that you have. And if you have difference of opinions, continue to do it civilly, because we can show a lot of other communities how to do it the right way. Thank you. Have a good night. Enjoy your families. And thank you for participating this evening.
Thank you.